Hi everybody, Stoane here with Wood and Stone. Today I want to talk about card scrapers. I am surprised at how many woodworkers that I work with that have either never heard of this tool or don't understand how versatile it is. It's a super handy, cheap tool that I use on a regular basis that I think should be in every woodworker's toolbox. You can get a set that usually comes like this. They have a bunch of different shapes too. Like you can get circles, you can get all different kinds of radiuses, both inside and outside radiuses to cut with these. I've seen different triangle, different angles. There's a whole bunch of different shapes that you can get. These are super handy. These are the two that I use most often, just a big rectangle and a small rectangle. But where these come in really handy is you want to think of them more like a kind of like a light duty plane, where it's not going to take off big shavings, but it'll take off smaller shavings. And I like to use it on the edge of boards like this here, where you use it on a 3/4 inch edge, or where I have a joint where one side's up a little bit higher than the other, as opposed to using a sander for the at least roughing in part, and then I'll finish it with a sander afterwards. But the reason I don't want to use a sander to bring it in is when you have that like 5-inch radius or 6-inch or 3-inch, whatever size sander you have, if your piece is smaller than that, what you're going to end up with is a crown, because it'll bend over. The pad will actually bend over. Even with hard pads, there's still going to be a little bit of a crown. And then if you have a board that's coming in here and another one that's coming in here, but this one's lower, when you're sanding it, you'll still end up with, it'll be flat and then there'll be a crown at the end. Versus when you do this, or you use a bigger rectangle, so it's a little bit further, you're bringing in from this point all the way down to this point out to that edge. So it kind of blends it in a little bit more as you're roughing it in. And then you can come in with a sander to get it, finish sanded, so you can put a nice finish on it. But this works like a really nice light duty plane. The other thing that I'll do is I'll show you a way to sharpen this. Is a way that I was showed by an old Vietnamese dude. Now remember that I came up in the production world, so we were more concerned about speed and getting things produced, not necessarily the perfect way to get it done. So I've heard of ways to sharpen this, and I'll probably do a separate video because I know how to do it with a burnisher. What I'm going to show you today is not that, and my suspicion is that the way that I'm going to show you is maybe takes like 10 to 20% of the time and is 80% as good as if you go through the whole bringing out the sharpening stones and the burnisher to get everything just perfect. So it's not that that way isn't better, it's just this way is quicker. And it's totally up to you. This is why I'm always talking about like it's a personal journey. Some people actually just enjoy the process of sharpening and being in the shop, and then other people like myself, it's more about getting the thing actually built and done. In the professional world, and I'm noticing like I'm more on personal projects, I am enjoying hanging out in the shop a little bit more and doing some of the more traditional ways of doing things because it's nice. But that part's totally up to you. What I'm going to show you today is how to use this and the down and dirty way to sharpen this so you can use it a lot. And then we'll put out another video on the proper way to make that happen with a burnisher. So we're going to be working on the edge of this board here just to show you this concept. If you have a bigger board, or if you feel like you need to use both hands on this, you can clamp up the board. For today, I'm just going to hold with my left hand and scrape with my right. But the basic concept here is I have my thumb pushing really hard on the back, and then I'm going to push forward. If you have wider, what you're going to do is you're going to actually flex this just a tiny bit. And what that does, so I have both my thumbs on the back, and I'm flexing it, pulling it back. And what that does is it pulls these corners up off your board just a little bit so you're not getting those scrapes on the corners as you're cutting. But I'm going to take this over here and just show you how this works, kind of like a light duty plane. So you just see that pile of shavings that's coming up here? That is all that we're trying to accomplish with a card scraper. But it's super handy because that's faster than doing something by hand. You're not getting the crown that you would if you used a large sander. And it just helps kind of like bring in spots. You can also, like you can do it like super, like I just want to take this a little bit here. You just do a little bit instead of hitting up here and back here with a 5 or 6-inch sander. You can just hit that one little spot where you want to bring it in nice, and you can come back with a piece of sandpaper to get it up to finish. Now for sharpening, the quick and easy way is I'm just going to hold my file here, and we want to use a file that has fine teeth on it. We don't want a rough file. I'm gonna hold my card scraper on here and I'm going to pull it the correct way. Pull it against the teeth. And that creates a little burr here. So I'll draw a picture of that. If you have your card scraper, like this here, most people would think as you're dragging that across the file, you're bringing this edge up and it's nice and parallel. But really what happens while you're doing that is it comes over, and as you bring this up, actually what happens, a little bit of metal curls up on the edge. That little bit of metal, that burr, is actually your cutting edge. That's what's actually going to cut the wood. So we just sharpen that, and then that is what's scraping that wood off of there. So that is a quick way to sharpen it when you feel that it's dull, and that's what the tool does on wood. So there's a couple of great quick tips for the card scraper. Super handy tool. I use it all the time. And just like every other tool, you'll find like this is the way that it's supposed to be used, and then you can use it for all different other kinds of ways to accomplish the same things that you might with other tools that are perfect, but you forgot those back at the shop and you're on the job site or whatever it is. These are super handy for just bringing things in nice and tight, making nice clean joints, and nice clean edges that don't have those crowns. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next video.